We're being recorded. Oh, here it is. Yeah.
Okay, so no need to introduce myself, Dada Jitendrananda, but uh, what prompted me to offer this course is that the way things are going at the moment, it reminds me of a period of turmoil that I experienced previously in Japan. And I was in Japan in the 80s and 90s, and the 80s, Japan was the economic powerhouse of the world. It was basically doing what China's doing now. It was manufacturing everything. But the Japanese economy crashed in 1990, and so the 90s were very different. During the 80s, I was very busy doing business, and so was everybody else. But there was a change in the 90s. The economy slowed down, and people were more receptive to meditation, and they didn't just want the quick introduction. They wanted the full value of what was on offer. So that was the last time when I put together a long course of meditation, and I just had the sense that we're entering similar times now, and I think uncertain times, they compel people to go deeper, because they're what they normally place their security in, their sense of security in, it's no longer reliable. So people go deeper for sense of security. Not everybody, but those who have a deeper dimension, they feel prompted to go deeper, and those kind of people are out there looking for meditation. And I think it would be very good. It's very good that so many of the Margis responded to learn to teach meditation classes, because I think you're going to find yourself very busy. Christian Premi, you were in Japan at that time as well, but I don't know if you experienced any of those. We used to sometimes have seminars, weekend initiation seminars, where like dozens of people would be just waiting to get to learn meditation. And so in the 80s, I'd have dozens of kids lining up to get balloon animals in the festivals. In the 90s, people were queuing up for meditation. So I see those times coming. So I've framed this course around Ashtanga yoga, because Ashtanga yoga gives you the scope to explain the whole the whole depth of yoga, what yoga has to offer, the whole of what yoga has to offer. And it also gives people an opportunity to come back again and again and experience something. There's something about just being together with other people who have similar aspiration, a spiritual aspiration, and that's also, you're also providing that kind of satsang setting over 8 weeks. That's very valuable. So we're not going to do any asanas today, but from next week we'll be incorporating actually practicing asanas. So I'll be sending out next week's material after this, and so you can be ready next week for that. But just a word about the asanas and the selection of asanas here. I've chosen 15 asanas from the 50 or so that Baba chose from the 3,000 or so that are out there. And so the ones that I've chosen, I've grouped them into, I think, 5 different categories. So just have any of you had Dharma Samiksha? So Dharma Samiksha was this program that the Guru gave, and we refer to the Guru as Baba. So it was this program that Baba gave in 1981, I think it was. Any of you had Dharma Samiksha? Okay, so it was a program where everybody got a chance to go to India and have some private audience with Baba, and part of that audience was Baba prescribed asanas for you. And what we learned from that was that most of the brothers got 4 basic asanas to do every day, twice a day. And most of the sisters got 3 basic asanas to do. So we'll be learning the basic. So I call them general tuning asanas. So looking at asanas as being the tuning system for this body mind system. So the asanas are tuning that. And if you imagine this body mind system as a musical instrument, and if you imagine the nerves as strings, so there are billions of strings in this musical instrument, and it's always playing. So what kind of experience you have in this instrument is determined to a great extent by the tuning. And so just like any musician has to tune their instrument before they play it, so it's good for us to have a tuning system for this instrument. And so the 4 basic asanas for brothers and the 3 basic asanas for sisters, I call them general tuning. Then there are asanas for digestive well-being. There are asanas for mental function and asanas for vital energy. So I've divided them into those 5 categories.
Dana, can I ask you?
Yes.
When you're teaching these asanas, if they're non-vegetarian, obviously it's just the 3 asanas that we're allowed to teach. Is that right?
Actually, it's not as strict as that. Baba definitely says that to get the best out of asanas, you should be vegetarian, and the reason is because the more pure the blood and the lymph are, the better the more effect you get from the more benefits you get from the asanas. So I don't think that. I know I used to go around saying that Baba actually excluded the practice of most asanas until you are vegetarian, but I've just been going over Charya too, and the only place where I find a comprehensive list of the do's and don'ts for asanas are in, it's Charya 3, isn't it? And so Baba just says that it's highly desirable that that you follow a vegetarian diet if you're practicing asanas. But you're right that the 3 basic asanas, they can be practiced by anybody, and they have kind of a mild effect on the body. Some of the others, like for example, the shoulder stand is compressing the thyroid gland, and so there's a resistance there from the posture, and there's compression of the thyroid. So you're sending blood, lymph through that node in a more compressed condition. So you can see like where some of these asanas, where it actually comes into play what condition the blood is in. Whether it's in a pure condition or whether if you're eating meat, there's a lot of impurity in the blood and lymph. So certainly throughout the course, any opportunity you get, always encourage the attendees to practice or to at least start maybe one day a week introducing vegetarianism and see how far they get with it. Okay, so then
I had something to add, Dada.
yes, go on.
I had my hand up. Yeah, because Sugar Dad, that's a great question you asked, because it's always been something that it's always been hard to find an answer. But what I think I have read somewhere that Baba mentioned how the three basic asanas, and we're holding our breath, so and then a lot of asanas we're not holding our breath, the ones where we're holding it for 30 seconds. So I think that's definitely the three asanas where we're holding our breath, and all the asanas where we're not holding our breath is fine. And then maybe it's more critical, although Dada Jitendrananda, you can sort of clarify this, it's more critical if it's a very strong asana and the person's holding their breath. Like you just mentioned the shoulder stand, for example, then maybe that might be a little bit tender.
I think for our purposes here, I think it's okay to prescribe those asanas, the 3 basic ones for sisters and 4 basic ones for brothers, but encourage people to adopt vegetarian diet.
Yeah, if you're wanting them to go away with some key takeaway from your course, you would recommend the 4
Yeah,
for the
and
brothers, and then they might have a particular liking for 1 or 2 others.
And explain why that's the case, that you get more benefit from if you're vegetarian. Okay, so did anybody read up on Ashtanga yoga? Would anybody like to give us an account of what is Ashtanga yoga? Anybody can have a go. Christian Prema, are you? Looks like. Okay,
I just lost the meeting for a minute. I actually just stepping back 1 second to the last topic we were just talking about, and I just sort of did a quick look up, because people say, well, why does meat, how does it affect you? And so I just did a quick Google search. Would eating meat make the blood or lymph have more impurities? And it said yes. Eating certain types of meat, particularly red and processed meats, can lead to an increased presence of metabolic waste products, inflammatory markers, and dietary toxins in the blood and lymph, which may be interpreted as increased impurities. And then there's a whole, little explanation, which I thought it's just nice to check on those things, because people do ask, and I haven't really, ever had any second thoughts about it myself. Always having wanted to be vegetarian, but I think it's just nice to know those answers to those questions, so that you know what you want to say when somebody asks that question. What's wrong with eating meat?
Sure, yeah. I think that's a very good point. metabolic waste, yeah, you're introducing into your own body. Your own body the the it's designed to eliminate the waste that it creates, but you're introducing, when you eat meat, you're introducing all of the toxins from the animal as well, and putting a strain on your own
Yeah,
organs. And
100%.
yeah, and also you're explaining, rather than just saying the purity of the blood, because if somebody's eating meat, it sounds like it sounds like kind of
Bad.
you're presenting yourself as being more pure than them. So it's better to bring it right down to what you're talking about. That's a very good point.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's easy to sort of say, oh, it's, you know, impure or something, but actually it's nice to have scientific facts.
Yeah.
So, the 8 limbs of Ashtanga yoga.
Hmm.
Well, asanas, of course, pranayam, um,
Well, can you say just about generally, um,
the whole thing.
how did this how did it come about? This presentation of yoga.
Okay, well, I don't know a lot, but as far as I know, there were lots of different practices. So Patanjali made it systematic so that it was, here it is, you can put it in a package, and these are the parts, and this is what you need to know. So it made it easier, I think, for people to follow it.
Yeah, that's right, and it's very good to present the story, the history, the background, because people respond to stories and history.
Mm.
You're learning something about yoga. Um, People have such a when yoga came to the West, when it came out of India, it was asanas really that represented the whole of yoga, because that was the commercial bit, and so yoga or asanas um, is the only component of Ashtanga yoga that people are familiar with, really. So it's good, people get the sense that, okay, there's 7 other components to yoga. Hmm.
Dara?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and that gives like Ashtanga yoga is a common point. Is sort of something that's very well known in the
Hmm.
world, Ashtanga yoga. So we're teaching Ashtanga yoga, but in saying that, as a guru, Baba also introduced 3 other practices which are new to the system of yoga, which was chakra shodhana, guru madhuvijja, guru mantra, and then the third one was guru puja. So they're additional. Those 3 practices are extensions of Ashtanga yoga, but as we teach it just to the public for the first time, we're teaching Ashtanga yoga.
Yeah. Um, when we teach, we're not going to do Bhavanam Kevalam in this first session, but from the next one, from the second session, we'll be introducing Bhavanam Kevalam. So when we do that, we introduce the idea of there being a series of lessons in an Andamarga meditation, 6 lessons, and this Bhavanam Kevalam is like a preliminary lesson in that series. So people will be introduced to Chakra Shodhan and Madhurvidya and all the rest of it in due course. Sorry, Mahima, did you have your hand up?
I did. Just going back to the sisters asanas. I always, I've always been taught that when we do Cobra, we keep the lower three chakras on the ground. And I looked it up in Charya Charya, and of course it doesn't say that in Charya Charya.
No.
But I wondered if the other sisters there know where that came from, because always we do that as sisters. We keep the lower three chakras, and we say that, yeah, it's to help overcome fear and all that kind of stuff. Didi, do you know anything about that? Or Dada?
Yeah, I just know that basically from the Manipura, from the navel down, which would be the navel and the Swadhisthana and the Muladhara, those three chakras. Yeah, they're basically you're using your navel as the key, the kind of like the point of understanding to what point you lift your body. Probably could put pressure on the Manipura. Might actually be beneficial. Yeah, it would be beneficial that way.
Could I
But where it's
suggest
written,
that?
I'm not sure. Where it's written, I'm not sure.
So could I suggest that you try both ways during the week and then see how they differ and and bring it up next week,
Okay.
because
Yes.
they're
Yeah.
there's definitely different effect from doing it different ways. Yeah.
Yeah, when you try to lift yourself up without putting any weight on the arms, but you're just actually lifting up your body with hardly any weight on your arms, you'll feel that pressure go into the Manipura chakra, and
Okay.
it'll be hard to lift yourself up any further.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm.
All right. So it's good to present the story of Ashtanga yoga, that yoga is thousands of years old. Like the more archaeological research they do in the Indus Valley, they're always putting back the date another 1,000 years. I think it's at 10,000 years now that they're finding little figurines and depictions of people doing yoga and sitting in meditation and all that. So it's been around for a long time, yoga, and over all that time, a huge body of practice and philosophy has been generated. And so what Patanjali did was he looked at that whole constellation of what yoga had become, and he drew down 8 components that he considered to be the essentials of yoga. And so a lot of yoga today goes back to Patanjali, and including in Andamarga. Andamarga practice is, yeah, I mean, there have been some advances since Patanjali, but it's roughly based on Ashtanga yoga. So meditation, we're going to be doing the Bhavanam Kevala meditation. So I'll leave it until next week to open up that. Just see if I had anything that should be said this week.
Dada, Amalinda here. I just thought it might be important. I think it's really good to talk about the system of Ashtanga yoga, and as you say, how old it is, and how Patanjali put it into that nice system to be followed. Because a lot of people are learning another type of Ashtanga yoga as well, which is like 8 postures, and so that means right from the beginning of your yoga sessions, you've really outlined the importance of all the different 8 limbs of yoga. You talk about purifying the body, and it's kind of like tuning the body for that point of meditation, as you're saying, like the self-realization, because ultimately the end result is the samadhi, this self-realization understanding. So I think it's really good, because we do tend to, I've done it a lot in the past as well, is focus on the asanas, So people come into a yoga class and they kind of have a general understanding of yoga, and even if you put the word meditation in there, they might have an understanding of relaxation, but they come in with a preconceived idea of quite often, it's changing, I hope, but it's that asanas, those postures, and looking at the more physical side and maybe the mental as well. And at that point, right from the beginning, you've really changed the narrative on what you're trying to work with the students and what you're ultimately trying to achieve. And it's just dropping those little bits of information through the classes, so that they get a deeper understanding of yoga and what yoga is, and the meaning of addition, or maybe even dropping the word consciousness, or expansion of mind or something right at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've got an advantage in this course in that it's people who come to this course understand that it includes meditation. You know, we'll you know, after actually we haven't had really there isn't really the scope within this 8 weeks to talk about how we go out there and actually set up meditation classes and how we promote them. But that, you know, that comes next. We'll organise something for that. Yeah. So, but we'll go much more into the meditation side of things next week. But just for this first week, we introduce a deep relaxation instead of doing meditation, which is just it's just maybe a bit overload. So after doing the asanas, then we do an extended, shavasana. Instead of doing shavasana, we do an extended deep relaxation. And if you'd like to go through that, I've devised a deep relaxation that it's not just for relaxation, but it takes the mind through a series of expansions to some kind of concept or some kind of feeling or sense of there being a limitless dimension or a dimension of pure consciousness. So if you want to make yourself nice and comfy, normally, of course, this is done in shavasana, so if you want to lie down, you can. Imagine that you're lying in a pergola in a garden. It's just 4 pillars supporting a roof, and it's completely open to the garden. It's just been raining and the sun has come out again. Drops of rain are on all of the leaves and all the trees and shrubs throughout the garden. The drops are breaking the sunlight into its various colours, and the leaves are absorbing all that energy. All around the garden feels vital, energized. Drops are falling from the roof, catching the sunlight, making it dance on your body. Your body feels relaxed, and your mind feels free. And your mind feels no confinement, and it feels drawn out into the garden. And your mind rises gently from your body and moves into the garden. And as you move, you feel a curious sense of familiarity with everything. all the trees you pass, all the shrubs, all the insects and birds. It seems as though you know them. It's as though you've always known them, and now you're just remembering. Now you reach the edge of the garden, and it seems as though the whole of the garden is in your mind, all known, all familiar. And still you feel no confinement, and you feel drawn out further by a sense of familiarity. On out over the countryside you go, rising over mountains. They quickly pass into familiarity as you remember their whole ancient story. And all the wild animals and their hiding places you know too intimately. And sweeping down over valleys and meadows, all the grazing animals seem to pause momentarily as recognition passes between you. And on over towns and through towns, all the people you pass, you know all of their joys and sorrows, their challenges, their aspirations. And now you reach the edge of the land, and it seems as though the whole of the land is in your mind, all known, all familiar. And still your mind feels no confinement, and you feel drawn out further by a sense of familiarity. And on out over the ocean you go, and through the ocean, and all the fish you pass, in a flash they pass into familiarity, each one individually. And the ships on the ocean, you know where they've been, where they're going, and all the people on board, you know intimately. And rising over distant lands, they no longer seem foreign, as all the nature and landscapes and people and cultures pass into familiarity. Now it seems as though the whole of the earth is in your mind, all known, all familiar. And still, your mind feels no confinement, and it feels drawn out further by a sense of familiarity, drawn out into space you go, and passing planets, they quickly pass into familiarity as you recall their whole ancient story. And on out into deep space, whole galaxies passing into familiarity. Now your mind is moving with tremendous exhilaration, finding no resistance anywhere. And as you peak in that feeling of exhilaration, everything around turns to light. And you know it's the light of consciousness, because you too are light. And there's no more any telling where your light ends and that light continues. And as you remain poised at the peak of exhilaration, you feel drawn from deep within, your deepest feelings of love and joy and compassion. And they merge endlessly with endless love and joy and compassion all around. And you know that is the home field of your mind. Now you find yourself back in your body, back in the garden, and you're walking through the garden as before. And you retain that sense of familiarity with everything, knowing that you are joined with everything through the same limitless consciousness that is the home field of your mind. Okay, so you can turn over on your side and prop yourself to sit.
I think I can say for everyone, Dada, thank you so much. It's a true blessing.
Thank you. Okay, so because this is the first session, so it's very important what kind of impression people get when they come first. So usually we're using the geography, or it could be your own home if you've got a room suitable for that. But just everybody's got their own style, but just to look at it with the eyes of somebody coming in to your space. It's not their space, they're out of their own comfort zone, and how can you make that comfortable for them? So I've also talked about hospitality in general. The word hospitality, it evokes the idea of hotels and all that these days, hospitality industry. But hospitality is a thing of the heart, and we need to, if an Andamarg is about anything, it's about changing culture. So we need to bring that back. We need to reclaim the word hospitality. And so one thing people are not used to is that if you have a meal, you have it with your family, or you have it with friends, maybe in a restaurant. But it's unusual to experience hospitality in the old-fashioned sense of just being invited to somebody's house to share a meal. But it's something that in an Andamarga, that is a really well-established part of our culture. And I think it goes a long way towards what we want to do, is bring people into a cultural experience, the experience of spiritual culture. And hospitality is part of spiritual culture. So one very good way to do that is have dinner with people after the class. And that's one of the reasons why I also mentioned that it's really good to buddy up with somebody. It's helpful if one person is while one person is explaining what to do in the asanas, the other person is demonstrating them. But also, there's a lot more preparation when you take, when you step back and include all of the things that I'm saying here, like having a meal. It's a lot to do by yourself. So definitely, I'd encourage you to buddy up with somebody. But that's something for later on. Again, this 8 weeks is confined to just going through the material of the class, basically. But there's so many other things that go into making the class, setting up the class and running the class, and we'll have to organize some more sessions for that. So anybody got anything to say about that?
Dada, I've got a question regarding if I'm a student and I've come and I've said to you, I thought relaxation is meditation. How would you answer that?
Okay, so we're going to go into that in detail next week, but in general, throughout this course, we're emphasizing that there are two parts to meditation. Most people are familiar, if people have done any meditation at all, they're familiar with the first part of meditation. And the first part of meditation is withdrawal. It's getting your mind detached from where it's normally preoccupied. And that's it. That's all that it does for you. But there's that very important second part. What do you do with that withdrawn mind. You have to turn it towards your causal consciousness. You've got to go back into consciousness with it. So that's where the business of meditation really happens. And so it's important to say that, so that people understand that all of these things that go under the label of meditation, when you analyze them, all they do for you is they get you some respite from where your mind is normally running. So breathing, focus on the breathing, all of those kind of things, they have some value certainly for meditation. And many of these techniques have come from the Buddhist tradition, but what people don't know is that Buddhist meditation developed in a monastic setting, and so you might have been given some preliminary kinds of meditation to do, but in that tradition, when you decided it was time to pursue your enlightenment, you left everything behind you. You left the world behind you, and you went into the monastic setting. And so the part that was played by the head monk or the head nun, that is not represented in the meditation. All that you get in the books or in when people teach this kind of meditation, all you get is the withdrawal. They don't. So the part that was imparted by the head monk or the head nun when they saw that you were ready, that doesn't come into the picture at all. So people have the idea. And the other thing is just in the same way that yoga was chosen out of all of the aspects of Ashtanga yoga was chosen because of its commercial value. In the same way, this pratyahara or withdrawal was chosen to represent meditation, because people generally, they consider the whole of their life to be out there in this world, in this environment, and my life is successful to the extent that I'm successful out there. I have to validate myself out there. And so if I can withdraw myself from all of the stress of this world momentarily for a while, then that means that when I go back out there, my mind is better resourced, I'm refreshed, and I've got the edge on others who don't have that. So that's why pratyahara, or the first step of meditation, withdrawal, that's why that basically represents meditation. So we've cultured. That's why Baba Nam Kevalam is such a sweet and beautiful way to introduce people to meditation, because the second part of meditation, what you actually ideate on, what you focus your mind on, is the benevolence, the unconditional love that sustains every moment of your existence. So people are already familiar with live in the moment. Everybody's saying live in the moment, but people don't understand what it means. They think it means, well, you just, whatever you happen to be doing, you just focus on that. But it means something much deeper than that. It means that before you do anything, before you feel anything, before you think anything, your existence is there. And your existence depends on a tireless source of unconditional benevolence, unconditional love. And so that is the object of your meditation, to bask in your existential glory, to bask in the unconditional love that sustains every moment of your existence. And the way that I introduce Baba Nam Kevalam, well, the way I explain the word Baba is when you come into this world as a baby, you haven't established an ego. You haven't established an outpost into this world to sort of moderate your advantage and disadvantage out there. So you're just in your pure existential, awareness. And so what are the first words that a baby says? The baby goes ah ba 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 ba. And so that's the acoustic root of basking in existential glory. So the sweetness of Bhavanam Kevalam is that it's really your heart is vocalizing what it knows at its deepest core. And what was laid down before anything else, the very first sentiment that was laid down in your psyche was the feeling of your existence being indulged as pure, unconditional love. And so that's there inside you in your psyche, and everything else has been layered on top of that. But Bhavanam Kevalam takes your mouth and migrates it to your heart, and it lets your heart vocalize what it knows at its deep core. So, we've got that second part covered. And I don't think anybody out there is, I don't think that you can find a better way to, direct your intuition, because really that second part of meditation, we call it intuitive practice, because you have to use the only faculty that's left when you sit down and you close your eyes and you're in a quiet place and you're not going to get up and go anywhere. So you're left with your intuition. So you have to give hints to your intuition, what to do. So that's anyway. We've kind of strayed into next week's topic there.
Explained very beautifully, Dada. Yeah.
Okay, so anything else arise from this week?
I just wanted to clarify. You're saying that the first lesson is about you're teaching the basics, and then you're doing a deep relaxation, and you're explaining Ashtanga yoga.
That's right. So the outline of the class is there in the handout. So 7:30. So we start off with warm-ups, and while we're doing the warm-ups, we can just do a check-in with everybody. How's your week been? Then asanas and Kaushiki Tandava. Then so that goes on for 7:30, 7:40. So the warm-ups and check-in take 10 minutes. Then 20 minutes for asanas, Kaushiki Tandava, self-massage. Then 5 minutes deep relaxation. Then class, chanting, meditation, questions, feedback. So that's the schedule of the class. You've got this, Didi? Have you got this?
No, I actually didn't. I can't really open it. but I have to work out how to open up the
Oh, because
music
it's
and
compressed file. I
something.
can just yeah, I can send it to you just normal. All right, so if that's it, then we can go out in some Bhavanam Kevalam and some meditation. Bhavanam Kevalam 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 Namaskar, everybody. Lovely to see you all, and look forward to seeing you again next week. I'll send you out the material, the class material. And yeah, have a lovely week.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you very
Nice
much.
to see everyone.
Namaskar.
Thank you.
Namaskar. Thank you.
Namaskar.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you next week, everyone.
See you, Kristen Priya.
Thank you, Dana. Namaskar.
Namaskar.